This is my workflow to capture high quality interviews so that I can build out my short form and long form content across all social media. We're talking about Streamyard, and I'm gonna show you where to sign up, what you need to do to get set up, and why it's important for you to make it easy for your guests as well. All right, let's dive in. The very first thing you need to do is just go to streamyard.com. I definitely don't wanna waste your time showing you how to sign up. I'm sure you can handle that, but I do wanna show you once you're inside how to set up your audio and your video. I'm just gonna do the bare bones basics. I'm gonna click on live stream here, and I'm gonna choose my X account, and I'll just call this Streamyard test. All right, so I'm creating a live stream. We're not live. Nobody's in here. Nothing has happened yet. We're just creating the space. But if you can see, I can already look and find my camera, turn it on and off, as well as mute my mic here before I join. In this case, I'm just gonna enter the studio and I can add myself to the stage. Now notice I got a cute little name tag right there, and there's a whole section right here that we're gonna dive into. Another really cool feature is you can add your own branding. So that means logos, colors, backgrounds, video screens, even custom intros and outros. We're gonna talk about that at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. For right now, the main thing I wanna show you is just setting up your settings. So that's gonna be your audio and your video. Your camera, you're gonna be able to choose between any different camera that you have. In my case, I've got a FaceTime camera from my MacBook here, or I've got another camera that's set up. And I've also got the internal microphone, which I can choose right here. And I can choose my Rodecaster. Now, another thing is your speaker or your headphones. We'll talk all about headphones in a bit as well, but you can always click the button to test what it sounds like.
Testing your speakers on Streamyard. Sounds like they're working.
Okay, sounds like they're working. We're good to go. Last thing is recording. We're gonna be talking all about local recordings in a bit, and layouts here. If I really want, I can make this rectangle a little floating thing so that my background video is showing as well. Let's talk more about all of that stuff in another video. I'll walk through all the StreamYard stuff, break down every tiny little thing. I just want to keep you going on this workflow. All right, let's invite your guest. This part is super dope. We have a button right here. It just says invite. Click that. You have two things that I want to point out. One of them is just your stream link. You could share this with anybody. Just don't share it with any psychopaths. They might mess with you. Story about that in a second. But this other part too, guests can stream to their own destinations. Not only is it cool that you can add your own social media to your StreamYard account so that your Instagram or your TikTok or your YouTube, wherever you're at, those platforms get fed by your live stream, but your guests can do that too. And if you have multiple guests, they can all add 2 different destinations of their own so that it's hitting everybody's social media all at the same time. I put a little cheat sheet together so you could just give it to your guests so they know what they should check ahead of time. Very simply, that is to get headphones, to get a microphone, to sign up for a StreamYard account so they can add all their socials if they choose to do that, or they could even download the StreamYard guest app. I want to caution you to be careful when it comes to sharing your stream links. If you want to just share everywhere across your social media, the actual live stream, go for it. But if you're going to invite somebody backstage, make sure you know who they are. I once had a public announcement and I said, anybody that wants can come on the stream with us. I put that link out there. Somebody looked like they were joining, then another person looked like they were joining. Everything was going great until I brought the first person on screen and they swapped. They like pushed a button like a bait and switch, and it went from looking like it was one person to basically porno. They just shoved it right on the live stream. I couldn't block them. I couldn't do anything. In that moment, it was spreading out to all my social media accounts, and I was in kind of big danger of getting shut down and all those accounts kind of flagged. Long story short, I was very quickly ending that stream and erasing that content across all my social medias, so be careful who you invite. I strongly suggest you have them meet you 10 to 15 minutes before the stream, and right before you go live, make sure to tell them, don't leave, don't close their browser, but if they have to, turn off their mic, turn off their camera, and just leave the browser open. If you want that cheat sheet for free, I put a link to it in the description. Now let's talk about that branding section. So branding, this is huge because you can use your colors, you can use your logos, all that stuff. If I want, I can throw my little Shredditor logo up in the top right, or if I've got this color, I kind of did that because like the background, I don't know, whatever. There's all these cool things that you can do. You can also change things up like your layout on here. So right now it's just me on screen. But if we have a guest on the stage with me, what ends up happening is you have these branding elements that are on there, the cute little name tag, all that stuff. These things show up if you are watching this live. But the beautiful thing, this workflow allows us to present something while we're live, but then in the background, it's capturing me individually. So it's not just capturing me in this little cute circle right here, floating through the stars. It's actually capturing me full 1080, like this, but without the stars, without the logo, without the name tag, all of that. It's also capturing my guests. So I'm gonna show you a couple different examples of streams that have been done with local recordings enabled so that everybody individually gets recorded, as well as all the screen shares. And then I'll show you one that doesn't have that enabled and why it's so important. Okay, so instead of being on the home tab, I'm gonna click on library here in Streamyard, and we've got a whole bunch of different videos. Now, when you click on something, it's automatically gonna play. So typically you're gonna wanna pause this so that as you're working, it's not just showing stuff in the background, making a bunch of noise, especially if you're making videos like I am right now. Anyway, here's my boy Trey. Let me see his beautiful face. There's Trey, there's Roy, right? These guys did a cool little interview session the other day, but Trey didn't enable the local recordings. Sorry to throw you under the bus, buddy. But because he didn't, now when I go and I look at this in my library, I only have one option. It's just to download. When it downloads, there's the little floating stars. You can see that little sliver, and then you can see a little square that has Trey, a little square that has Roy. I can't really use that much in post-processing because this whole screen is only 1080, which means if I go and I chop that and I like zoom way in on one of their faces for a vertical video, it's gonna be pretty low res, right? Or if I go back, I'm gonna open another video. Now this is with a bunch of people, but instead this time of just having this download button, what you'll see is every individual person on here has their own video track. So I could download just King Ball, or just Trey, or just Buddha, or whatever. Look, I get it. You don't want to be annoying when you're inviting a guest onto your stream and like overloading them. But listen, if you invite them onto the stream and you don't tell them not to leave before they end, then you got to chase them around the internet and try to get them to click a link and re-upload and do all these other things. Way less time, way less effort to just prep them to know, don't leave the stream or don't close your browser until the stream is over. What that would look like very simply is just they turn off their mic, they turn off their camera, and now they're not worried about that interfering with anything else they have going on, like an upcoming meeting or something else they had to do. Worst case scenario is you do have to send them the link to click and then uploads to the cloud and they're all good to go. But from my experience, it's actually hard to get them to do that, and you have to wait to do any of your editing until they've completed their upload. So just prep them up front. The beautiful thing and the reason that we do this, and it's why we tell people not to leave early, we can click this one button and export every single person that came on the stream, every screen share that was shown, and all of those things show up as elements ready to open in a project in a file made specifically for Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, or DaVinci Resolve. If you don't edit, that doesn't mean anything. If you edit, that is huge. All those elements just show up on the project ready to work. This is the workflow. This is what we want. It's the whole, it's the egg from the golden goose, and this is the golden goose. It's local recordings from Streamyard. You can even record as high of resolution as 4K, which I'm just not that fancy yet. I don't know. I got to get a new setup before I could really start dialing in the 4K footage. But for right now, the fact that all of these people, they end up on my stream, and we could put that on an X Space or a live stream, or we could just do a recording and it's not even live in front of anybody else. We do all of that, and then I can click one button, export. Now I have a whole file that an editor that can work off site can open that file up and they can chop it all up. Or I can plug this into a tool like Autopod that will cut this all up using AI tech. That's super dope, but it wouldn't happen if we didn't all show up, local recordings, headphones on, got the individual mics, and we're sitting here capturing this good HD or up to 4K footage of each individual person, and we're ready to turn it into content across all social media.